here's a question for you. Do you have children? Lots of children. And do you want to go electric? Well, if the answer is yes, this is a car that you're going to want to know about. But before I tell you everything there is to know about Peugeot's big number, you know what to do. If you aren't already, please do subscribe to the channel and switch your notifications on, because if you're into electric cars of all shapes and sizes, this is the place for you. Now, a few of you out there might just change your car on a whim because you fancy something different. But for lots of us, we have to swap our cars because of a big life change, which usually means children. And some parents are suckers for punishment, and they have multiple offspring, like our very own Nikki Shields with her 3 under 5, which brings me out in a little cold sweat. Anyway, as much as Nikki might like to see herself in a Porsche Taycan Turbo, I think I might have found her perfect car.
A brood like Nikki's means you need a big car, one that can swallow the kids and all the stuff that comes with them. A car like this, in fact, the all-new, all-electric Peugeot E5008.
So the Peugeot 5008 is one of those clever cars that has all the 7-seat practicality and space of a people mover, or minivan as my American friends like to call them, but it's basically disguised as an SUV, so it looks loads better. And this new E5008 joins just a handful of pure electric cars that are available as 7-seaters. There is this, which will cost around £47,500 when it goes on sale in the autumn. There is the much more expensive Kia EV9, the Mercedes EQB, and of course the Tesla Model X, which eclipses them all when it comes to price and also isn't sold in right-hand drive in the UK. So let's take a closer look at the automotive answer to Nikki Shields' dreams. Well, her more sensible ones anyway.
It's a big car, as you would expect it to be, with a total length of 4.79 metres. It's about the same dimensions all round as the BMW iX3, but shorter than the EV9. It has the kind of presence that says you're an exciting parent who does interesting things at the weekend, when, let's face it, all we actually do is act as unpaid Uber drivers for our kids. But at least you will be driving a nice Uber. It feels light and airy inside with large windows. The design of the E5008 is supposed to suggest movement. That slope of the rear window is emphasised by elements on the side, and the front end, which features Peugeot's claw light signature, with a front grille that blends into the body colour. The grille is highlighted by a slim black band that wraps around the entire front of the E5008 and incorporates the compact headlights. Pixel LED technology is standard on all models to help you see better at night without dazzling other road users. The wheels, well, they're either 19s or 20s. Not that big for a car of this size these days, but they will help keep the efficiency high and the running costs low, always important with a family car. The E5008 isn't just supersized when it comes to seats. It comes with some other big numbers too, like the official range of up to 412 miles, around 60 miles more than the top range on offer in the Kia EV9. And you'll also have 320 brake horsepower from a dual motor 4-wheel drive version to play with too. Although use that power at your peril if you have the car fully loaded with kids, particularly after breakfast. Now, as the mother of one, I've never needed a car this big, so I've taken advice from the expert. And Nikki has given me her top 3 must-haves for a family car with a big brood. And first up on Nikki's wish list is a rear seatbelt that's easy to reach in and fasten.
Because so often you need to kind of squeeze in through a little gap in the seats and you end up getting all dirty on the side of the car. Take a look at this. So it's a very easy movement. You just push it forwards and it slides forward. That can really be very tricky to do on cars, and it's not. And then once you're in, you quickly need to lean in, grab your seat belt, and there. It's not bad, is it, that? I actually think that's pretty good. I will obviously leave it to the expert, Miss Shields, to sort of check when she gets her hands on one of these for herself, but I think it's all right. So let's take a look in here. Let me pull that seat back a bit more. Ooh. Legroom is a bit mean in the middle seat. You'd probably have it a bit further back. And that tells me that these seats are definitely not for the adults in the family. They are for kids. But what I will say is this quilting And the headrests do make them nice and comfortable, so they're definitely going to be comfy in here for longer journeys. Looking round though, you haven't got many of those charging ports that you need with children for longer journeys. Yes, you've got a 12 volt there, so I guess you could put a connector in, but it's not as convenient. It's one of the things that I know we all love about the EV9 is it's got loads of them all over the place. Cup holders are also a little bit mean. You don't have proper full-size cup holders back here. So it's good, it's comfy, but it's definitely for the kids in the family.
In the back, the E5008 offers impressive legroom for passengers in row 2. But this is also where it gets a little disappointing. While the seats are comfortable and have folding backrests, they aren't individual chairs like the outgoing model. Now, this could be a deal breaker for some families, as the old car had a bit of a cult following amongst parents who needed to fit 3 child seats across the middle row. And each seat had ISOFIX mounts too, but on this new version you only get them on the 2 outside seats. Peugeot reckons only 20% of its customers needed those 3 ISOFIX mounts, and it sacrificed the middle one in exchange for comfier outside seats. But if you're one of that 20%, then I'm afraid this car won't work for you anymore.
Second on Nikki's list is a low-ish step to get your kids into the back. The sooner you can get them climbing up themselves, the better it is for your own back. Sadly, as you can see, that is quite a hike. That's a good climb even for me. I definitely don't think Nikki's little boy, who is 4, is going to be getting up in there anytime soon. It is, of course, because this has also got the battery underneath, so it raises things up. But the Kia EV9 has managed to put a sort of lower step in there that doesn't make it quite as tricky. And last, but by no means least on Nikki's wish list, is a big boot for the bikes, the scooters, the bags, the pushchairs that inevitably follow a family around. So let's take a look at this one. Ta-da! Oh, golf clubs. What on earth are they doing in there? We'll get rid of these. Trust me, if you've got 3 children, you are definitely not carrying golf clubs around with you. No time to play golf. There we go, get rid of those. So let's have a look at it in here. It is obviously compact with the 7 seats up in that full configuration. It is just, I will refer to my notes, 259 litres. If you drop these 2 rear seats and just have it in the 5-seat configuration, you get 748 litres. Drop the lot and it's vast, it's at 1,800 litres. It is, however, eclipsed by the Kia EV9, which has more space generally, but then it is a bigger car. It's also really important to be able to put the seats down easily. We would always prefer that they were power operated. It makes it so much easier. In this case, it's not. You just have to pull a little handle and push them down and then bring them back up manually, which is a bit of a pain. One thing I do like though is this. There's a little subfloor under here. So floor lifts up, slides nicely into the back, and then there's a good compartment down there that gives you a bit of extra storage space, along with somewhere to store your cables. However, I will caveat that by saying that if speed is your thing and you are going for the dual motor version, then you won't be able to get that because that extra motor takes up the space.
The Peugeot's floor is completely flat, even with all the seats folded, something that we like in a family car.
So I was driving the Peugeot E5008 just a couple of weeks ago, and this is just like that car. It feels very familiar when I get inside. You've got this Peugeot hockey stick, as they call it, here in the centre. And what this does is really separate the cabin off between the passenger and the driver. And I do like this. So you've got all the things that you use a lot, volume, your drive mode, your climate control, just there. And it's really nice and ergonomically thought out. It's very easy to get to when you're driving. Also in here, I'm just remembering, loads of storage in here as well. You've got that brilliant storage compartment in there with USB-C ports, 2 okay-ish size cup holders, and another big storage compartment in there. So let's just work our way around the car. I won't come up to the big screen just yet because I'm going to start here with the shortcuts. This is what Peugeot calls its i-toggles, and you can personalise this and configure it as you want, and they're basically shortcuts to the things that you want to use the most. Again, really nicely positioned where they're just easy to access when you're on the move. Going up here to the top, you've got the big curve screen that stretches along the top. It sort of curves inwards to the driver, which is nice. It's really nice kind of bright graphics on it as well. So you've got your mapping, all your information here on the left. Here on the right are all the info about the car. You've got things like charging, your ADAS safety systems, all of that. And I love the way what Peugeot have done in here is pull through this fabric from the doors into the dashboard and then down here onto the hockey stick. Just makes the whole thing feel really nicely pulled together. And there's really interesting materials in here. I also love the way the screen looks a bit like it's floating, and they highlight it with some really nice lighting just behind it and in here in the doors. And then down here, got the steering wheel. It's not everyone's cup of tea, I know, with its flat bottom, flat top and bottom, and it's slightly smaller than other steering wheels. Again, I really like it. I know some people complain that it can be a bit awkward, it can be hard to get into the right position for you, but I've never had a problem with it. I think all in all, this is a really nice interior. I think Peugeot do interiors well. And if Nikki's kids are happy in the back, I think Nikki will be happy in here too.
Here's the odd thing though, the steering wheel is only heated on the top GT model, which seems a bit mean for a car of this level. Heated seats are also not standard in both the front and the back. But what you do get is high levels of active safety kit along with adaptive cruise control, an essential piece of kit for all parents on long journeys. You can also opt for semi-automatic lane changing and tech to help you keep an eye on speed limits. It will also suggest that you slow down if, for example, it detects that the road conditions are bad. It's all really useful tech when you've got loads of kids in the car that might be a bit distracting.
Right, then what about the other figures? So the E5008 uses the same bits underneath as the 3008 that I drove a few weeks ago. The range is a little bit less though because it's bigger and it's heavier. There will be two versions, Allure and GT, and each comes with a choice of 3 electric motors. 210 brake horsepower, 230, and a punchier 4-wheel drive dual motor version as well. And the motors will be powered by 2 batteries. The smaller one has a capacity of 73 kilowatt hours, giving an official range of around 360 miles. The top one is a massive 98 kilowatt hours. Peugeot claims this is good for 412 miles in the most efficient versions. That's a lot more than Kia's similar size battery, which they claim has a maximum of around 350 miles. I guess that is a larger and heavier car though. So charging, well, it will take up to 160 kilowatts at a DC charger. That means, in practical terms, that you can add around 60 miles on in 10 minutes, which is actually really handy if you just want to top up quickly. If you need to do the full sort of 20 to 80% fill up though, that's going to take you around half an hour. Pretty good times though, considering that you may well have a car full of children who are screaming to get home. So I've been trying to think what Nikki and her brood would make of this car, and I think that they would all give it a resounding thumbs up. Yes, I know that she dreams of driving off into the sunset in that Porsche Taycan Turbo. But you know, Nikki, it's really important to take your children with you.